This episode of Destructoid is brought to you by Audible.com. Coming up on Destructoid, Team Fortress 2 fans finally get to meet the Pyro, Skyrim has gone totally goth and Dawnguard, and Black Ops 2 offers us the Nuketown of tomorrow, today. All that and more right now on Destructoid.
Welcome to Destructoid. I'm Tara Long.
And I'm Max Scoville.
Welcome back, Max.
Back from my long, arduous vacation.
Yes, indeed.
Did I miss anything?
Well, Anthony came on the show. He did a great job. Afterwards, I saw him doing some things with my doll.
Good.
I'm not going to say what they are, but insertion.
Good. I'm glad
was
you
involved.
let him feel at home here.
Yeah.
That's good. He does those things in his living
weird.
room normally. It's good to be back. We have some big news today, I guess. Some news to talk about. The first big news today is the leak/announcement of some Call of Duty Black Ops 2 pre-order content. A few signs popped up at a game location that, of course, is the UK store chain Game,
Not
which is
confusing at all.
Confusing name. Anyway, it announces the return of the fan favorite map Nuketown, but this time Nuketown is being reimagined in a visionary depiction of the model home of the future. If you weren't somehow one of the 12 million people who bought Black Ops 1, Nuketown might not be familiar to you, but it was a hugely popular multiplayer map set on a nuclear testing ground modeled after a 1950s suburban neighborhood. Very pleasant. Look at that. It's lovely.
Like Pleasantville.
Of course, in contrast to the other more traditional Warzone-ish war zones, it had a nice bit of kind of tongue-in-cheek gallows humor. And presumably, Nuketown 2025, which is the thing they're putting in Black Ops 2, is going to show us the homes of tomorrow today, but in the future. And then there's probably going to be some drone warfare involved in that, I would imagine. I just hope that there's Roombas everywhere. I mean, they really are like the drones in your homes. The vacuum cleaner robots, of course. Yeah, home drones. And they're waging a constant drone war on dirt. Yeah.
They really missed an opportunity with home drones there.
Home drones.
That could have been something special.
Roomba. Who named that? Anyway, Nuketown 2025 is listed as a free pre-order bonus, though nothing official has been announced. It would be safe to assume that this is going to be announced alongside the other pre-order bonuses in GameStop's second wave of pre-order bonuses. They're rolling these out in waves. Apparently everything's classified. So you see there at the bottom. I don't know.
Everything is done in waves in this industry.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's like, okay, we have to really crank up the hype. But
yeah.
Of course, the next wave is scheduled for July 1st, and we will keep you posted on this.
Yes, indeed. So, sad news. Well, kind of sad and happy. It's the end of an era today, guys. Valve has finally reached the end of their long-running Meet the Team video series with today's release of Meet the Pyro. Now, if you're not familiar, Valve has been putting out these videos for many, many years now, each one showcasing a different class or character from Team Fortress. The first one was Meet the Heavy back in 2007, and now 5 years later we get to Meet the Pyro. So this video is kind of intended to give us a little bit of a peek of what goes on inside the man behind the mask. And as it turns out, it's a lot like what I imagine a 12-year-old Japanese girl sees when she drops acid. If you want a less timely comparison, think Toontown with diapers. It's all very cute. Of course, the video's not the only news here. It's also the vehicle for Valve's bigger announcement of the Source Filmmaker, which is the tool that they use to make all these Meet the Team videos. It actually lets you make short films like these within the Source engine itself. So very cool. They did this for Meet the Team series as well as the trailers for Defense of the Ancients and Portal 2. So if you want to check out more info on that, you can actually sign up for a beta key over at sourcefilmmaker.com. There's also a video they put up showing off some of the features of the software, and confession, I don't know much about computers, but our producer hasn't shut up about it all morning, and he is particularly difficult to impress. So I can only assume that this is the most amazing piece of software ever created by man or God, or both.
It is a bright day for machinimas everywhere. I'm stoked to see what people do with this, you know?
Because still no word on that Adult Swim announcement, aside from the robot chicken hat.
Maybe there could be a video game TV show
perhaps
on Adult Swim. I don't know. That's going to be cool. That'll open things up. On a more serious note, I don't know if you guys caught the video we put up on Monday of me chatting about Spec Ops: The Line with the game's writer Walt Williams. But if you'd seen that, you would know that the game just dropped yesterday, which means the reviews are now live. I actually haven't had a chance to go hands-on with the full game myself, but Alistair Pinsoff posted his review over on Destructoid.com and came away sounding rather pleased. Spec Ops: The Line, if you're unfamiliar, is a third-person military shooter that's sort of a modern retelling of Heart of Darkness or Apocalypse Now, but set in near-future Dubai. Unlike most war games, which tend to sort of gloss over the whole psychological aspect of killing hundreds of people, The Line's most ambitious aspect is that it's trying to have a narrative that really examines war from a more human angle. Now, Alistair praised this part of the game, saying that he couldn't think of another game where he replayed chapters for the sole purpose of fully understanding the gravity of key story elements. He added the game drives the player forth by proposing questions, some of which are related to the plot, others relating more to your own ethics, but all of which are much more compelling devices than anything offered by Spec Ops' competitors, presumably more compelling than run here and shoot these things. While the storytelling in Spec Ops is ambitious, the rest of the game plays it fairly safe. The cover-based shooting is straightforward and mostly satisfying, though not without a few frustrating points. For instance, the absence of a roll or dive move makes avoiding a grenade difficult, and enemy AI isn't anything to write home about. Alistair did say that Spec Ops' squad commanding system was solid and keeps the pace of the game up even when you're sort of hiding behind cover to regain health. You can order your guys to do stuff for you. Alistair didn't go very in-depth on the subject of multiplayer, though he referred to it as lifeless, and saying that the fact that it wasn't worth sticking around for almost came as a relief, since at best it would be an ignorable distraction that doesn't sully a thoughtful, complex narrative about there being no heroes in war. So it's kind of a game that puts story over multiplayer, I think. Overall, Alistair gave Spec Ops: The Line an 8 out of 10, calling it one of his most captivating gaming experiences of 2012. I was sort of surprised by this.
Yeah,
I mean, the game
really
looks
surprising.
good, but it has a lot going against it. Trying to tell like a serious story in the form of a military shooter is ambitious. Anyway, go read that. That's on Destructoid.com. And if you want a second opinion, Anthony Carboni is having Jackie Talbot on to New Challenger, and they're going to be talking about the game. That's over on the Rev3 Games channel, right on YouTube.com/Rev3Games. In the meantime, Tara, I can't deal with all this hardcore war nonsense. Tell me about some toys for children.
Oh, Nintendo is what you must want to hear about. So last week we told you guys about their plans to launch this 3DS XL for $200 on August 19th. And now we've got our first actual video of the device in action. A couple actually. One is an official trailer that Nintendo released today showing off some gameplay from New Super Mario Bros. 2. It also shows it compared to a regular 3DS. But if you want to get a better idea of the actual size, the French website Puissance Nintendo released a short video of someone actually holding it in their hands and playing it. They also noted in their accompanying article that the system size made it a lot easier to grip than the regular 3DS, which I thought was interesting. And they also said it provided better viewing angles, allowing for a more natural 3D look without compromising image quality, which is also interesting because you'd think it'd be the opposite. Unless you were holding it further away from your face. But yeah, they also pointed out that it weighed less than they were expecting. So as long as you've got room in your purse or your merce or whatever you kids hold these days, it should be fine. And if you are still on the fence about buying a 3DS, the XL or the regular version, you should know that Nintendo is going to start offering weekly eShop sales where they discount a featured game every week. I think they've promised that they were going to do something like this before, and it always just kind of fizzles out. Right now they've got Super Mario Land on sale for $2.99 for the rest of June, and on July 5th they're going to be bringing the original Legend of Zelda for NES to the Virtual Console, so you can buy that and your 4-year-old self will thank you. What I think is most funny about all of this is it made me realize that 90% of Nintendo's new releases are actually games that came out over 20 years ago. Like every time I get excited about something new Nintendo's up to, it's actually something old. That
I'm actually really excited about the XL. I don't know. I was sort of thinking about
have a 3DS,
warming
so
up.
this might be a
I don't.
good opportunity for you.
My girlfriend has one, and I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Play with hers. It's for girls. But I mean, the big one. It looks like one of those toy laptops you give to kids, which I think is kind of neat. And I'm always a fan of sort of like novelty items, either too small or too large. I love the Game Boy Micro. I would love to have a giant, 3DS. Anyway, let's take a word from our sponsor.
Let's do that. Guys, I know that books are boring. You have to read words and then look the bigger ones up in a different book. It's miserable.
Lame.
And that's why websites like Audible.com exist, so we can absorb this information without having to actually use our eyeballs. And really, is that not the definition of energy efficient?
Earbooks.
whatever kinds of books you like, from sci-fi to mystery to self-help, young adult, there's a good chance Audible.com has it. They've got over 100,000 titles to choose from. You just pop them onto your phone or MP3 player and melt the stress of your morning commute away. Even better, Audible is offering all Destructoid viewers their own 30-day trial and audiobook completely free. Just go to audible.com/Destructoid and sign up. I personally recommend checking out Rosemary's Baby by IR11 if you're into horror novels. It's a classic, and the audiobook is narrated by Mia Farrow, who played Rosemary in the movie.
Get that baby. So,
speaking of babies, back to the show. So, as I'm sure most of you are well aware, Dawnguard came out yesterday. Anthony and I played it all day at work yesterday while you were gone.
I was at friggin' IKEA, and you're playing Skyrim.
I mean, apples and oranges, really.
Why didn't I come to work yesterday?
I love me some IKEA, not gonna lie. But Anthony and I put up a video of our impressions over on Rev3 Games. I kind of went the vampire route of things, and Anthony played as a Dawnguard since he's weird and likes to play as good guys in games, which I typically also do sometimes, but I had to make an exception for this because vampires, and also our producer made me. But yeah, as I explained in the video, anyone can play the DLC as long as you have a character that's level 10 or over. You don't have to have beaten the game or anything. But it will be kind of difficult to get through the actual Dawnguard questline if you're under level 15 to 20. So I would recommend being that at least. That of course may vary depending on which route you choose, but the DLC pretty much starts off the same for everyone. When you go to a major city, you'll get approached by a member of the Dawnguard, and he'll ask you to join their forces and kind of lead you down this like I'd say an hour-long quest where you get to choose at the end whether you want to become a vampire or a Dawnguard, and they both kind of branch off and split off into their own like long quest lines. If you become a vampire, you are basically instantly more powerful.
Team Edward.
Team Edward, yes, indeed. You've got the Vampire Lord skill, which lets you drain life with one hand and then reanimate corpses with the other. You can morph into bats whenever you want. Higher up in the perk tree, you can do things like summon gargoyles and turn into mist. Whereas with the Dawnguard, on the other hand, it's kind of a much slower payoff. It's less about immediate abilities and more about like this long quest line of rebuilding the whole group of Dawnguard and vampire hunters. Kind of comparable to the Mages Guild or the Thieves Guild if you've done those quests in Skyrim. So later on you get access to like cool stuff like the crossbow bolts and ammo and things like that. You can also hire armored trolls to follow you around and just kill shit.
I want to do that.
I saw the armored trolls, they're pretty cool.
I'm a big fan of crossbows.
Yeah, so both sides have advantages and disadvantages. Really just depends on how you prefer to play. Personally, I think the whole vampire transformation process is really awesome, but I kind of wish I'd chosen Dawnguard just because the crossbow is really where it's at.
Yeah,
if you've got a high archery level, it's totally worth it to go that route.
I played a little bit of the Vampire Lord at E3, and I liked it, but it's like anybody who complains about the combat in Skyrim. I feel like the Vampire Lord doesn't really do you any favors because it's kind of like you're in third person.
It's definitely different from any of the other Skyrim combat I've experienced.
There's a lot more sizzle to it, you know?
Yeah.
But as far as like the gameplay being engrossing, I
sure.
thought that shooting people with a crossbow was cooler than like turning into a bat and stuff.
I mean, it's notable if only for its novelty. So we're gonna have more info about Dawnguard in our impressions video. Like I said, you can find that on youtube.com/Rev3 Games. It's up already, actually, and Anthony's going to be doing a full review of the DLC on his show New Challenger this week. That is also on youtube.com/Rev3 Games. So just subscribe already. I'm sick of asking you guys. Every episode I ask.
I got some favors for you guys to do us too. You should follow us on Twitter, please. I'm Max Scoville, she's Tara Longest, and together we are at Detoid Show. And there's a special announcement, guys. There's not going to be a live show this Friday. We're going to have a regular pre-recorded episode for you to watch. But Tara and I will not be here. We're going to be down in Anaheim, home of the Mighty Ducks, for VidCon. If you happen to be attending, be sure to swing by the Revision 3 booth. That is in booth number 215 at the Expo Hall. We're going to be hosting a meetup there at 12:15 p.m. on Friday. Tara and I will both be there, and we'd love for you to come by and say hello if you're there. And if that's not reason enough, we're going to be giving away a pair of SteelSeries Siberia V2 headphones.
That is a
They
thing
are
that will
military
happen.
grade.
Yeah.
But we'll see you guys around.